Alright guys, we are back from another video. Today we're actually going to be doing the wheel bearing on my 1989 Toyota Corolla GTS. If you are just tuning in, by the way, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more cool Ae92 content. Let's get into it. So I have, my 89 Corolla, and like I said, we're doing the wheel bearing on it. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the process. It's a very simple process. I already removed the wheel, so I can show you guys how to go about the situation. When it comes to removing the wheel bearing, it comprises a lot of small, tedious, easy things to do. Now, to remove the hub assembly, which is what you're going to have to remove, is fairly easy. Now, it's going to be a 19mm nut and a long bolt here, and the same goes for here. Obviously, you're not going to be really able to access it if it's very tight. So what I do recommend you guys doing is first taking off this brake caliper bracket. To remove the brake caliper bracket, there are two 17mm bolts. So one here and one at the bottom. All right, after you get that caliper off, pretty much you can, either use something to hang it up or just gently make sure it's not resting and not, under tension. Once you remove that, as you can see, you have access to these 19mm nuts and bolts. So you're going to get either an impact on this side and then hold it on this side, or you could just get a breaker bar on this side and then, like I said, hold on this side. But go ahead and break those nuts loose and remove these. All right, once you have those, nuts loose and everything, you got them off. Let it at least leave one bolt in or leave both of them in. Well, you go over to this side. Now this side, it's either a 19mm if it's aftermarket, or usually it's a 17mm nut. So you remove that, you remove the cotter pin if there isn't one, and then once you do that, you're gonna, if it's stuck here, you're gonna hit right here with the hammer. Don't hit this because you're gonna damage the tie rod. Hit to the side, and it should pop right out. And lastly, after you remove that out of the way, you're going to remove this nut. Now this nut's usually a 30mm nut, so you're going to need a 30mm deep socket. If it's aftermarket, it might be a 32mm, but usually it's a 30mm axle nut. So you're going to go ahead and remove that. Once we remove that, then we could go ahead and remove these nuts. Now typically, like I said, you just remove that, the nuts and everything, and yeah, and then you can remove the rotor if you can. But I was about to remove the rotor, and the entire wheel bearing just came apart right now. So that's a really bad wheel bearing. Hopefully it never gets to this point with you guys. This is very fucking bad, and I gotta figure out why this happened, because this is very premature. So something's very wrong here. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and remove these nuts. So let's go ahead and remove the nuts. By the way, you always really want to inspect these cars, guys. Whenever you have the chance, lift it up and then shake the car down. You really never want to come into a situation like this. Like, this could be very drastic. You could, really kill yourself or get into a really bad accident with having a very horrific wheel bearing. So make sure you always double check your front suspension, or if you're hearing like light growling when you're rolling to a stoplight or something, that's a sign that your wheel bearing could be going out. And thankfully, I got to it before this thing separated even more. So yeah, so let's go ahead. Once you got this separated, this is not gonna happen to you. It's just my wheel bearing separating right now. Okay, so now that you pretty much got separated from here, what you're going to be doing is you're gonna get either a deep 19mm and then a slight socket, and then you're gonna impact it out. If you don't have an impact, you're not gonna be able to do the strategy. So reconnect the strut and reconnect this bad boy to the hub, and then you're gonna get maybe a wrench or a 19mm ratchet, get a breaker bar and break that nut loose. But if you have an impact, go ahead and impact that with a deep 19mm bolt. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. All right, guys, and once you get that nut loose, what you're going to do, again, don't hit it at the top right here. You're gonna ruin the fridge. Hit into the hub. So hit this part of the hub assembly, and it should release from that ball joint. And it is out of the car. So this is the other hub assembly, the one that was on the car. That shot, spindle broke out of it. The bearing broke out of it, and this is the not new one, but the other one. See, so all good. Pretty much with these wheel bearings, you can't buy a whole assembly and replace it. They have to be pressed in. So you're gonna have to buy the actual bearing and send it to a shop and have them press it in. Or you could do it yourself, but for me, it's just a lot quicker for a shop to do it, since I don't have the proper thing to, press these in. So, I had this bearing pressed into this hub because I had the spare hub lying around. So I'm going to go ahead and install it. But pretty much it's the same process for removing it. It is installing it. It's a very easy process, but I thought I'd show you guys the way I do it. and you know, a way that you could do it. So really hope you guys found lots of value out of this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. If you have any questions, shoot them down below, and please be careful out there. Peace, guys.